142 Willow Creek. They say the mail stopped coming here 28 years ago. Elias didn't believe the legends. He thought he was just documenting an empty shell. The house didn't look like a tomb. It looked like a predator, waiting for a meal. The first step was the loudest. The wood didn't just creak. It groaned, like it was waking up. He tried to smile for the camera, but his skin had already gone pale. The air here was different. The door wasn't locked. In fact, it seemed to be inviting him inside. The darkness inside didn't just block his view. It swallowed the beam of his light. Look at the photos. The faces aren't just missing. They've been erased by something angry. He reached out to touch the wall. It wasn't just damp, it was weeping. A giggle, too high, too innocent for a place that died in the 90s. His voice cracked. Who's there? The house offered no answer, only a deeper silence. He held his breath, but the house was breathing for him. Sheets draped over the furniture. They looked like statues frozen in a desperate prayer. Gravity didn't apply here anymore. The fabric moved, not by the wind, but by will. Fear is a physical weight. Elias felt it crashing down on his chest. The clock hadn't ticked in decades. Yet, it began to chime, marking time that didn't exist. Silence returned. A silence so thick you could choke on it. Something moved in the kitchen. It wasn't a shadow of the light. It was a shadow of the soul. The feast was laid out. A banquet for ghosts, rotting in the stagnant air. The silver began to dance. A violent tremor that defied the laws of physics. It wasn't thrown, it was guided. A warning written in cold, hard steel. He bolted for the exit, but the door had become a wall, solid, unyielding. He clawed at the handle until his fingers bled. The house was not letting go. The hallway stretched. Reality was folding in on itself, trapping him in a loop. His camera died. The life force of the machine drained into the floorboards. A whisper brushed his ear. Don't look up. But he couldn't help himself. It was crawling. Too many joints. Too much hunger. He lost his footing. The camera tumbled, catching the descent into chaos. Dust motes danced in the dying light, witnessing his fall. Bare feet. Gray, cold, and silent, pacing the floorboards just inches away. He scrambled to grab the lens, his pulse hammering against the microphone. The basement door. The only way left to run, even if it led to the grave. Down the stairs, the air turned icy. The house was changing beneath his feet. The walls were a diary of madness. It sees you. Written over and over, he found the tapes. A history of every soul that had tried to leave. The player hummed to life. The sound of static was the sound of a dying mind. He heard it on the recording. His own scream, echoing from the future. He screamed back, a pathetic plea to a god that had abandoned this place. The walls began to bleed. A black ichor that smelled like the end of the world. Ozone, the smell of lightning. The house was charging itself for the strike. The door slammed. The only bridge back to the sun, severed. He pounded on the wood, but he was no longer pounding on a door, he was pounding on a coffin. Something touched his shoulder. A cold, long finger of pure nothingness. He turned, swinging the light, nothing but empty, weeping concrete. When he looked back, the darkness had taken shape. It had a name. A face without features. A mouth that wasn't a mouth, but a gateway. It spoke with his voice, a mockery of his own terrified humanity. He ran, not toward safety, but toward the light of the small basement window. He broke the glass, not with his hand, but with the weight of his own desperation. The cool night air, so close, he could almost taste the freedom. But the house held on. It didn't want him to leave. It wanted him to stay forever. The strength of the shadows was inhuman. He was pulled back into the depths. The camera lay abandoned, filming the final act of the tragedy. He kicked, he fought, he begged. But the house is the only thing that wins here. The light flickered, a final dying gasp of technology against the dark. The entity leaned in. It didn't just want his body. It wanted his story. It looked into the lens, staring through the screen, right at you. Static, the noise of a broken world resetting itself for the next visitor. A new day, a new face, an identical mistake. Look closely. He looks familiar, doesn't he? They all look like him. He spots the camera, a souvenir from the man who came before. He picks it up. Curiosity is the bait for this trap. He walks through the door. "Hello," he calls out. Nobody answers. The lock clicks. A final sound, the house is fed once more.
Don't bother looking for the exit. There is no such thing.